Hello everyone, and welcome to a very exciting video. As you can probably see in this title up here, we finally received the Outdoors official trailer for Doors, which is something we've been waiting for months. I don't want to drag this on, but here's the full analysis of everything you missed in this trailer. So we've all seen this before. However, then afterwards, once they open this door, we finally get some new sneak peeks of what the garden subfloor looks like. Alright, so it starts off showing this new room with a gate in the corner. It's a little blurry and hard to make out, but yeah. We've seen this before in a previous teaser trailer, but there's typically a fountain in front of the gate. I don't know if there's a fountain here, but this is a fairly typical room. And based on like the viewpoint of where the camera is coming from, it appears we're looking at this outside area through a window. So we might be in one of the new cabin rooms, as they have windows according to previous teasers. But yeah, this room is fairly typical. However, this new one is not. So there's two things of note here besides just it being a new room. For one, as the camera zooms out, if you look towards the bottom left corner, you can see a lantern on the ground. Now, based on previous teasers, we know lanterns are an upcoming item, and so I'm guessing we'll be able to obtain them by just finding them randomly on the floor in this new subfloor, which is pretty cool. They are a new light source, so it could be useful. However, the real meat and potatoes of this one scene comes a little later. So if we resume this video, you might be able to see it, but this giant arch up here with these spikes, that is a giant spiky vine. Now, we've known in the past that a giant spiky vine has been living in the Doors universe for quite a while. However, now in this trailer, we get very good looks at it, and this is absolutely massive. The lightning does illuminate it, and I'll try to pause the video on that moment. However, it is very quick. Let's see. There we go. So as you could see, the lightning illuminates this vine, and we can see all the spikes, how big it is. Let me try to make it clearer there. That's as clear as I can make it, but yeah. And this also gives a nice top-down view of the whole subfloor. So this place is massive, just like the vine. But anyways, let's just move on. It is pretty cool, though. And this just seems to be one of the new rooms. Not too much. I mean, there's some benches and some water, and the tree falls. We know tree falling ambience is part of it. We also see a new water tower here and the green lightning. Now, later in this teaser, we were actually explained what the significance of green lightning is. If you recall, in previous teasers, we've seen this green lightning, even though lightning indoors is notably purple. So this has to be significant, and we were revealed what that significance is. But I'll explain that a little later. But anyways, we can see the green lightning here. And if you look closely in the corner, there's actually some chain lightning. So the lightning is all focused on one specific area. Let me see if you can get a better look at it, like right up here in the top left corner. But yeah, this is just a new room showcasing the green lightning, but it does look very cool, especially the water tower, but nothing too significant here. Then here are the new cause entities. Now, if you were aware, these entities will flee and caw, like their name suggests, whenever they see some sort of threat. And now we finally know what that threat is. And if you've seen this teaser, you know as well, but let's just see. So they're drinking out of water, which is a great animation, but then look, they look up, they fly, and a boot. That is the groundskeeper. And we can see the groundskeeper throughout this entire teaser trailer. It's actually awesome, and we finally get their face reveal. And now in this part, we can see the groundskeeper walking through one of these, just a normal room. However, if we look on their behind, we can see that they actually have a pair of keys. Now, I actually think this isn't just decoration, but eventually we'll have to actually obtain these keys off of them, which is gonna be quite the challenge. However, yeah, and as you can see, they're wielding their massive scythe, like their leaked model proposed. And here we can see them kind of inspecting the ground, you know, picking up a branch and stuff. These animations are great, by the way. Jasper, I think, does the animations. They did awesome on these. But yeah, I'm not sure what the significance of them picking up the branches. It might be from one of those aspen trees we'll see a little later. But yeah, as a groundskeeper does, which is a real word, they monitor and take care of just a landscape. So I think this guy is the protector of the outdoor subfloor. So they're monitoring. And as you can see, they're the one who makes the no stepping on grass signs. As you can see, he's painting it. And that's actually a reason why they're squeaky clean. If you remember, when those signs were first teased, I actually asked the developers, why are they clean if this place is so run down? And they said there's a specific reason, and that's because the groundskeeper takes care of them. In this new room, we can see, the groundskeeper is actually placing down the signs, as well as this sign in the top left corner showcasing an exit and the meter symbol. Now, we still don't know what the significance of the meters are. It might tie into the actual gameplay of the subfloor, but yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning. And then, and so this part's actually really interesting. So in the bottom, we can see the new, I guess, leaf snare entities. I'm not sure what they're called, but they do something. However, in the corner, we can see a giant mound of vines just wriggling. And the groundskeeper here, he actually stabs them. Like, as you probably just saw, he used his massive scythe and just sliced right through whatever that new entity was. Now, we don't know what that is, but my guess is that's part of the new vine entity, like the giant big vine we saw earlier. That's my guess. However, but yeah, so apparently the groundskeeper, he isn't on the side of all of the garden subfloor entities. Like, as we could see, he physically killed another entity. That's pretty crazy. It just goes to show that the entities don't always get along. And in the background, we can see, a new cabin room, stuff we've already seen before, but yeah, this part's definitely the most interesting. And then here we can see him actually doing something nice for the garden subfloor. He's planting flowers, which I guess that's what a groundskeeper does. And then finally we see his back view, and we get the face reveal. Now, his model looks fairly similar to what he looked like in his very early leaked model. If you recall, the groundskeeper was actually going to be added on Doors' original release, but was eventually scrapped for now. However, now we could see that one of his eyes actually has a pupil, which wasn't a trait of his previous model, but yeah. And we can see that his body is entirely made up of plants, like he has vine arms and stuff, but we already knew that. Anyways, let's just continue moving on. Now we get his point of view. So this is Doorsman, or that's what the community calls him, and we can see him entering the subfloor. He walks, and he steps on the grass. That's how I think you trigger the groundskeeper into attacking you. I think he's going to be a neutral entity, so normally he's not going to mind. But if you step on the grass, something prohibited by all the signs he's created, he's going to attack you. And this shows what happens, his killing animation. So he stabs you, and then he stomps on you. And so that is a pretty cool death animation. But now we get the name of the update, the Great Outdoors update. However, the trailer isn't done yet, as we have a bunch of new features revealed to us. So let's continue on. The first thing revealed to us is Stardust. Now, this is a new currency that we know for a while it's going to be used to make subfloor elevators in the lobby. However, we also know it will rarely be found in actual subfloors like the back door. And here we can see it being found in a vine-covered chest in the garden subfloor, and we can actually see 2 pieces of it. So it's not going to be insanely rare, but it's still going to be pretty rare. And as you can see, it says it allows you to skip to subfloors. And here's a demonstration of that. Like, he creates a subfloor elevator. Now, here's the next thing, and that is item skins. Now, we've known item skins are going to be coming for a while, and now we know that they'll be able to be purchasable by knobs, and chromas, which are like rainbow item skins, are going to cost Stardust. Which, I mean, we've expected Stardust to be able to do other things besides purchase lobby elevators to subfloors, but now we have confirmation, and in the player's hand, we can see a flower garden-themed flashlight, I think? And then here we could see the flower-themed crucifix we saw in the previous teasers that came a while back, and as we can see, when it's used on Rush, it actually turns them pink. Now, something very interesting with this room in particular is I'm pretty sure it's a new room. Here, let me see if I can zoom back a little. Hold on, just one moment. So that's a new room, and this one I'm also pretty sure it's a new room because we can see an elevator towards the left, right here where my mouse is. And that isn't really a trait of any other room we've saw. So I'm guessing we're getting new hotel rooms in this update as well, which is pretty cool. And that's expanded on later. We can see run saves. We've known this was a feature coming, and here we can see the new compass item, which we've also known to have been coming. Oh, and here, this one's really interesting. So, in this room, we can see one of the subrooms locked by a skeleton door with a giant rift on it. Now, if I had to guess, this room, or the subroom, actually leads to a mid-run rift. Now, if you recall, it was confirmed by the developers that players will eventually be able to access a rift in the middle of their hotel playthroughs in this next update. And for the longest time, we didn't really know how that would even happen, or how would that even work. But now we know that in order to access mid-run rifts, they would be locked behind skeleton doors just found randomly throughout the hotel, and this is one of them. This model is pretty cool though. I love the little rift lines coming out of the skeleton lock. It also gives the skeleton key more of a purpose, which is pretty cool. And then here, this shows another new room coming in the hotel during Seek's Crescendo, which is the area right before the Seek chase starts. And so it seems to just have a bunch of stairs. Let me see if I can go back to it. Hello? You know what? Let's just rewind. But yeah, it has a bunch of stairs, some bookcases, just all this good stuff. So yeah, I'm guessing we're gonna get a lot of new hotel rooms in this update. Here it's another example of the green lightning, and right here next to Redable's avatar, we can see the spiky vine creature again. So this thing is going to be a prominent feature of the garden subfloor. However, let's go back there a little. That it just showed the chain lightning effect I mentioned way earlier. Oh my god, YouTube stinks. Hold on. Okay. It's about to come, so there we go, right here. So, whenever we see this green lightning, this huge array of lightning flashes just bolts down onto the ground. And right now, you probably don't know what that means. Like, what is the significance of green lightning and this giant array of lightning? And we're going to get our answer really soon. So here it shows a player running, not walking, running through some sort of corridor, and we can see the eye tree I mentioned earlier that the groundskeeper might have been inspecting. Now, I actually think this is part of a seek chase because the player is actually running in, the eye tree. Now, here is the inside of a new cabin room, and as we can see Gubby. That is a popular Roblox meme, and the Doors developers seem to like it, and they've actually referenced it a couple times in these teasers. So I guess here's a drawing of them on the wall. And this this part of the teaser actually shows what the green lightning is. And so, as you can see, when it happens, a player hides in a closet, and this one is hiding in the cabin. So my guess is whenever you see the green lightning and the chain lightning flash, it actually denotes a new Rush type entity is going to spawn. As you know, each floor has an entity that functions like Rush. In the main floors, it's, of course, Rush, and in the back door, it's Blitz, and in the rooms, it's a 60. So this outdoor subfloor will have one of those entities. And instead of lights flickering, its announcement will be just green lightning, which is pretty cool. It's nice to see a change from just flashing lights, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that means. Now, here's a player running through a new cabin room. We can see a lantern item, so I think the player will be able to pick that up, the fireplace, and then we also see two drawings, one of clouds and one of the moon, which could be a guiding light reference, but yeah. They go through here. You might have seen it right there, but there was an eye cover tree. I don't think I'm going to go back to it. But yeah, so apparently these eye trees are going to be a prominent feature. And actually, if I go back here, it seems like the player might be running. And that might be another yeah, they're definitely running here. And so that might definitely be a feature of the Seek Chase, which is theorized to come in this subfloor, which is pretty cool. And here, this is actually interesting. So we can see the groundskeeper fighting something, and they land on the sign. Like, they're obviously fighting something. And so I actually think we'll be able to either fight back against the groundskeeper, or another entity is fighting against them. As we know, the groundskeeper isn't friendly towards all entities. They were seen killing that group of vines. However, anyways, besides that, this sign tells us the release date of the update, August 10th, so that's actually pretty soon. And here, you might be confused by this free access part, but essentially what that means is we'll be able to create lobby elevators to this subfloor completely for free up until August 25th. Then it'll cost Stardust, and we'll have to go through like the normal method of going to the greenhouse, and yeah. So it'll just be easier to access the subfloor like the first few days it's actually released. But yeah, and that's pretty much the end of the teaser, except for this one last thing. We see a lotus flower opening. Now, as you know, the pink petals of the lotus are going to be an integral part of the subfloor. We don't know how, but we know it's going to be really important. So I'm not entirely sure what this is supposed to represent. But yeah, we could see the lotus flower opening and then the leaves, and that's where the trailer ends. So, all in all, this was a very significant trailer. I am super hyped for everything that's coming here. We're getting new hotel rooms, the groundskeeper, a bunch of new entities. It's just going to be a massive, massive update. But yeah, that basically sums up everything in this trailer. So, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments if I missed anything. I believe I got through all of the little details here, but yeah. And thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.